Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? We hope that you are well. And I've clean forgotten what we talked. That's right. Tulas Nesi. Tulas Nesi. He who told us and who apparently informed the president that the unemployment insurance fund would cope comfortably with the claims that would emanate from or be caused by the initially declared 3-week curfew. 2 weeks ago, just when I first fell sick, again, it's one of the videos in my famous notebook from then, which I wasn't able to do. So about 2 weeks ago, today's the 1st of May, so somewhere in the middle of April, I read how he was saying that they can't process the claims. Which is it? You fools can do it or you cannot do it. You told us this wouldn't be a problem because you had it under control and you had 100 billion rand in the bank. I read something just the other day by Peter Attard Montalto, the famous economist, one of the top economists in South Africa. He said that the majority of claims, the reality is that the majority of claims are not going to be paid. And the few that are will only be paid in months to come. Do you believe this? Do you believe these oaks? Do you believe this? And I read another report which is not definitive, and I don't want to create fallacies and spread fake news, which claims that the 100 billion is actually not there. The 100 billion rand of your taxpayer money that is supposed to be sitting in the kitty of the unemployment insurance fund is, well, actually not there. I'm going to endeavor not to get too worked up about too worked up in this video. But my blood is boiling. You can't believe how we are being, forgive the expression because it is a crass expression. And I was trying to think of a better term, as I paused there for a second, but I can't think. How we're being shafted. To our faces, and how we're expected to be grateful for it. Because there is always an undertone of an expectation of gratitude in the new South African Rainbow Nation. You should be grateful for the ANC. You should be grateful for everything that we've done. You should be grateful that you privileged whites are still here at all, kind of thing. You should be grateful. How we are being shafted and how we are expected to be grateful for it. It's unfathomable. The real point of this video is this announcement now by, what's his name? The Zulu name. Dear me, I've hit a blank. Spokesman of Eskom. That when the curfew ends, the curfew, lockdown, shutdown, call it what you like, that when it ends, we may then expect blackouts to begin and to continue until August of next year. August of next year. It's now May of 2020. The beginning of May. So we can count May. Today's the 1st of May. May, June, July, August. 4 plus 12 months. 16 months. 16 months. Do you know what this is going to do to the economy on top of everything else? Rolling blackouts for 16 months. And you know what's the worst of all is how the economists have downplayed this thing. Mike Schussler, to his credit, has been warning of certain things for years. And Davy Ruet, and there are other names that you can mention. But by and large, there were massive symptoms of a severe illness that were not being advertised as such by the people most highly qualified to be familiar with it. The people who knew the most about the severity of this thing were, quite frankly, saying the least, on average, the majority of them. Chris Hart is another one to whom some credit is due, but he's been so vilified by that tweet of his 5 years ago that I think he kind of keeps to himself now. He knows how the new South Africa Rainbow Nation feels about him. Thank you very much. It's sooner or later people are going to have to take responsibility. They're not going to want to, but they're going to have to. And they're going to pay a high price for the deviousness, deceitfulness, dishonesty, duplicity, and double dealing. Manners in which they have treated the truth, the economic truth of the new South Africa Rainbow Nation. The price that is going to be demanded of them is not going to be a low price, and they won't be insulated from justice. The bankers who caused the 2007, 2008, 2009 economic crash in particularly the Northern Hemisphere, most particularly the USA. None of those guys in the USA, none of those crooks, none of them were obliged to take any responsibility at all. One guy, a Muslim guy, was jailed on like a peripheral charge. There's a movie you can watch about it. But I don't think that it's going to be the same in South Africa. Regardless of what happens, okay, there's certain things that must happen. This tsunami-like economic crisis, immense joblessness, endemic poverty, and the social unrest and fracturing that naturally go with all of that. That has to happen, right? But there are other things which may not happen, or things that may go to the left or they may go to the right. Or, we think that this is likely to happen, but in fact it's going to be more of that. Regardless of what happens, keeping in mind the kind of terms of reference I've just given you, what regardless of what happens means in the context of this video. Regardless of what happens, I don't believe, and I know, Mr. Miller, we've spoken about it at length, and the majority of these videos come out of conversations that we hold. And very often it's a direct instruction, I know that Mr. Miller feels the same way. Regardless of what happens in this society, those guys are unlikely to get away with the blue murder that, number one, they have been getting away with, and that, number two, the American bankers, for instance, got away with in 2007, 8, 9. It's just not likely to work that way. I think there's a reckoning coming here that people can't even begin to imagine. If we hit levels of unemployment of, let's say, 65%, or let's say 66.6 recurring percent, 2/3. And already they're predicting 50%. But, they've understated everything from the very beginning. If we get 2/3 unemployment and our tax base, income tax base, falls from 3.1 million, the last government figure that I saw, to say 2 million, and let's say that our economy declines, it's around about a 20 trillion rand now-ish, not really. It's safer to measure it in dollars. Let's say that in rand terms, I'm taking a big fat chance here because, an exchange rate can change overnight and the way things are reported, and it kind of makes nonsense of it. But let's say it's 15 trillion rand. The number to work with. That's not wildly inaccurate. To 12 trillion rand. All hell will break loose. Of that you can be sure. Of that you can be dead certain. Because as we know from the SASA, the report issued by SASA, jointly compiled jointly by SASA, the South African Social Security Agency, and the South African Department of Statistics. There are 85 million people in South Africa. When the government can only provide electricity to say, I don't want to be too much of a doom prophet here. I think we can convey the principles, the necessary ideas to you without exaggerating or being hysterical. Let's say 45 million of those people don't have a job that's worth anything. Or who do you count as jobless? Kids, older people, so on. Let's put it another way. Let's say that 45 million of those 85 million people, 45 million, don't have enough electricity, don't have enough clean water, and don't have enough money for a bag of maize meal and an antiretroviral drug. What then?